Greetings and salutations. Second star right here, talking some more Raid Shadow Legends. And today, 14 new challengers enter the realm of Teleria. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they diluting our champion pool? Are they making it better? What use do they have? I don't know. Let's find out. You and me, together. We're going to go in there, we're going to go through every new champion, and we will see what we think about them. What do you say? Alright, let's go. Alright, so here we are in the champion index. And let's start with the legendaries. First one, in the Lizardmen tribe, we have Krisk the Ageless. He's Void legendary, and it looks like he landed here from Mass Effect and is now part of Raid. I would recommend never standing behind him in case he falls over and you get impaled on his many blade accoutrements. Alright, he's cool looking. I dig it. I dig it. They really did a good job on his design. He looks sweet. They put in a lot of effort. Okay, I'm pleased with the way he looks. Let's see what he does. Okay, enter the morass. Attacks all enemies. Has a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Sweet, that's nice. An AoE speed reducer, 30% chance, and you can actually increase it to 50% chance with books if you are so inclined. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I like his A1. His A2 is called Centuried Vigor. 4-turn cooldown that attacks all enemies. Places a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Places 2 50% continuous heal buffs on the champion for 1 turn. Increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. 4-turn cooldown, but you can get it after 6 books. 6 legendary books, you can get it down to 3 turns. So you have a 3-turn defensive cooldown on his A2. That is really good. Fantastic. Big help in the clan boss there. And just in general, 3-turn defensive cooldowns are magical. Magical unicorns. His A3. Invincible Shell, level 1, places a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Places a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. Places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Okay, alright. So far, so good. Every single one of his skills is useful and awesome. Okay, so 3 AoEs. They're all AoEs. Okay, Krisk he's playing well. He's playing well with others. Good job. And he has a passive. At the Might of Ages, at the start of each round, places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 50% of the champion's max HP. Has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense buff and a 50% decreased attack debuff on the attacker for 1 turn when hit. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so Krisk is kind of a beast. Nice. 19,485 hit points. That's pretty good. Attack is low, but he is defense-based. His defense is 1520. Really good. Hey, what are these skills based on? They're based on his defense. Okay, so... Oh my gosh. Okay. Alright, so what we have here is a really, really good all-around defense champion. Holy cow. Krisk is amazing. I really hope that he falls my way at some point. Dang, that is a really good legendary. Alright, let's move on. I actually don't have to go far. Let's just move on to Haruspex. Haruspex is a rare in the Lizardmen too. That way I don't have to switch screens so much. And he's just a repaint. They didn't even change his accessories from his counterpart there. Flinger. Ugh. Well, I guess I like the color scheme better. I guess I could say that. I don't know. That's lazy. I hate lazy. Infected Liver attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a 2.5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Okay, so low poison on his A1 with a low chance, but you can put in 7 books and get that debuff chance up to 20, 25, 30%. Sign of Swiftness. Fills the turn meters of all allies by 15%. Places a 15% increased speed buff on allies for 2 turns. Okay, so nice speed boost there. And he has a revive on his A3. Revives a dead ally with 30% hit points and fills turn meter by 30%. 6-turn cooldown, 1 book will get it down to 5 turns. Ally speed in the arena by 15%. Okay. No, I think This guy's a really good utility. Like, say you're just starting out, he'd be really good because you can use him anywhere. He has something for the arena, in speed boosts. He has some clan boss utility. If you had absolutely no one else, like say you started out with Gallic and you didn't get a outlaw monk, you could slot him in for his A1 poison, even though it's a low version, and a revive can help you carry. He's a good he's a utility player. He's you put him at the end of the bench, and he can come in and pinch hit in the 7th inning or whatever. I have no problems with hair specs, other than the fact he's a really, really lazy repaint, and that drives me absolutely insane. Why would you do that to us? Just put in some different accessories, change out his pauldrons, do something. Come on, man. Ugh. Okay. Aside from the bad character model, his skills have some utility early game, and I can totally see him being used by new players. Okay, now over here in Skinwalker Ranch, they have given us this guy right here, right? The Snorting Thug. Force Affinity. Epic. Again, another... I think he's another reused skin, but his stance is different. That's not important. He's fine. Wanton Mugging is his A1. Attacks an enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of stealing a random buff, and is damaged based on hit points. And his hit points are 20,640. So, pretty good. I love buff stealing A1s. I really do. I don't like 20% chance. I think that's low. But you can get that up to 5, 10, 30, 40%. So 40% is good. But you have to do $7 to do it, and it's in their Epic book. So, I don't know how many people will actually do that. His A2, Ruckus. I love that word. Attacks one enemy, ignores the target's defense if they have no active buffs. Oh, that's awesome. Ignores all of the defense if they have no active buffs? And you have a buff steal on A1? Okay, that seems like a 4-turn cooldown. You can increase damage, but you can't decrease the number of turns. So it's going to be 4 turns that you can use that with no active buff. I think that's good. Ignoring all defense. That's not bad. And a passive. So an A1, an A2, and a passive. Okay, that's cool. So you could conceivably use Relentless Gear or Reflex, something that... anyway. It has we'll theorycraft that later if it ever comes up. It has a 30% chance of removing 1 random buff from the attacker when hit. Occurs once per hit. And it counterattacks with no active buffs. Okay, so we have a buff steal. A high damage, increased defense if they have no active buffs. A passive that steals buffs on hit with a counterattack. That's pretty sweet. And then what's this? His aura is an all accuracy battle by 40. Okay, that's pretty good. I wish he had a cooler character model, because I hate I hate this particular character model. It's big and it's bulky, it gets in the way. It's whatever. But I like the skill alignment is really neat. That's cool. He's good. I mean, ignoring all defense, having okay, he's cool. He's cool. He's cool. I'm a fan of the Snorting Thug. All right, let's. Okay, let me know what you think about that character design. I think that's pretty cool. All right, moving on to the Orcs, and as you can see, I've totally eschewed my plan of doing legendaries first, and instead just going in the order of where of whatever's next. Sorry, I just find that easier, I guess. Less flipping around. Okay, so in the Orcs we have a rare called the Twin Claw Disciple. He is A1, does Disfigure, attacks an enemy with a 35% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns, which is awesome. 35% chance of 100% heal on an A1 is great. After 6 books, you can increase that buff debuff chance to 45%. That's really good. It'd be better if he was not Force, because you're thinking Spirit Keep immediately, and Spirit is, of course, Spirit, and Force doesn't do so well in there. But that's okay. Let's look at his A2. Tendon Carve attacks one enemy with a 50% chance of placing a 15% weaken for 2 turns. That's uninspiring. A2. 7 books. You can reduce the cooldown. You can increase the... Alright, let's ignore his A2 for now. Okay, Tear to Shreds is his A3. On a 4-turn cooldown, attacks one enemy with a 50% chance of placing a block cooldown skills debuff for 2 turns. The chance increases to 100% if the target's under heal reduction debuff. And we saw that his A1 is not bad in that regard. Okay. You can get it down to 3 turns also with 3 books. Block cooldown skills is based on attack. His attack is 1365, which is not bad for a rare. Speed is 85. Holy cow. He is slow. I think he carved his own tendon with his blades here because that is uncool. He's super slow. Super slow. I'm trying to think of a slower champion off the top of my head. Wow. On the plus side, his character design is pretty cool. Looks like Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's blue with a mohawk. Okay, sweet. All right, let's move on to the next one, and we'll see what we can find. All right, so I guess next up is the Demon Spawn. All right, and I think there's actually 2 Legos in here, right? Okay, we have Duchess Lilitu. Lilitu? Let's just call her Lily. So we have Lily here. She's got crystals growing out of her. Looks like Space Godzilla. All right, she's cool. All right. Her A1, Abyssal Invocation, attacks one enemy 2 times, then places a shield buff equal to 10% of the champion's max HP for 2 turns on this champion and the ally with the lowest hit points. Damage is based on defense. You can book it 6 times, 15% damage, and then another 30% shield value. It's interesting. It's an interesting A1. I don't know if I like it yet. I'm going to have to think about this and ponder. Okay, let's move on and see how it works in with the rest of her skills. A2 is Shroud of Souls. Places a 50% increased attack buff and a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. Oh, here we go. Places a perfect veil buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. So she's a Veiler. Okay. I don't really like Veil or Perfect Veil. It seems like their utility is limited because there's so many champions that can kind of get around that mechanic. Alright, Spectral Rebirth is her A3. Revives all dead allies with 70% hit points. Okay, that's pretty good. Places a Veil buff on all allies except this champion for 1 turn, and places a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. Oh yeah, that's pretty strong. With 70% native hit points, so you don't have to, it's not based on Ascension or anything, it's just, because that's the way it looks from here, from the index. 6-turn cooldown, you can actually get that down to 4 turns. Okay, that's pretty powerful 4-turn revive. Again, Veil, I just don't know about the Veiling characters. Her passive is Ethereal Ways. Decrease the damage taken by all allies from AoE attacks by 25% and 15% from bosses. Decreases the damage taken by all allies from AoE attacks by 40% if an ally is under a Veil buff, 25%. Okay, that makes so much more sense. In fact, I kind of think that that's how Veil and Perfect Veil should just work anyway. They minimize the damage from AoEs, because you see where I'm going with this. Veil and Perfect Veil are kind of useless because you can still hit them with AoEs and so many things AoEs. Bosses always AoE. They're only good in certain places. This passive makes Veil and Perfect Veil much more useful. So that's cool. I kind of wish they would just have that intrinsic to the Veil and Perfect Veil abilities, but they do not. So this particular champion has a passive that greatly increases the utility of champions with that ability. And she has an aura, which is 19% speed in all battles. So good stuff. Additionally, her damage is all based on defense, it looks like. Yeah, her A1 damage based on defense. And her defense is 1288, which is okay. 103 speed is really good. And okay. So she's a Veiler, and she buffs Veil. So that's interesting. I don't think we've seen a legendary or anything that has worked in that particular way before. So good. I'm always happy to see new things like that. Alright, so we have another one. Another legendary demon spawn. Tyrant. Lex Luthor? Tyrant Lex... I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try. Okay, so we have this Tyrant, who's legendary, hit point based, magic affinity. Looks pretty cool. I always wonder, though, about these champions that don't have lips, and they're just all fangs. And wouldn't they just be drooling constantly? I mean, you think that if they were going to be accurate in their character model here, they would have like a sheen of saliva reflecting off of his chest, you know, because he'd be such a mess. But anyway, I digress. His A1, Feast of Flame, attacks one enemy, heals this champion by 25% of the damage inflicted, heals the champion by 50% of the damage inflicted instead if the target is under an HP burn debuff. Okay, and damage based on defense. So he's a defensive hit points champion, damage based on defense that does HP burns. Okay, alright, bring it. What's his A2? Hellfire Torrent level 1. Attacks all enemies with a 75% chance of placing an HP burn debuff on all enemies for 3 turns. Damage based on defense. Okay, so there's his HP burn. It's on his A2. The 4-turn cooldown. They can get down to 3 turns with books. And it actually also looks like you can get it to 100% chance. So his fully booked A2 is a 3-turn cooldown. You can keep HP burn up constantly, basically. You can get it because it's a 3-turn duration, 3-turn cooldown, and 100% chance to place it. Okay, good. So that's cool. So you have constant HP burn up if you fully book that skill. His A3, Infernal Minions, places a 50% ally protection buff on all allies, except this champion for 2 turns. Places a 60% increased defense buff on allies for 2 turns. And that's on a 3-turn cooldown. So now we have another 3-turn cooldown defensive ability on a champion. That's good. That's good. His passive also has a passive, Fires of Doom, decreases damage inflicted by enemies under HP burn debuffs by 10%. So cool. All right. So all of his skills work together really well. HP burn, heals, HP burn damage reduction, and an ally protect. Really good, solid champion here with good HP, good defense, good speed. This Tyrant, I can't do it. Why are there 3 consonants in a row like that? That makes no sense. To start a word, you don't do that. Ugh, these demons. I'm just not working with the conventions of the English language. Okay, so anyway, good champion. I'm a fan. Alright, well, I actually did not have to go very far because there is yet another demon spawn down here in the epic row, the Umbral Enchantress. Looks good, pretty typical demon spawn design. Looks like she has some stuff on her mouth here. I don't think she wiped after she ate someone's soul, but okay, that's fine. She looks good. Her A1 is Essence Scepter, which attacks one enemy. The damage is proportional to the champion's current hit points, but the damage is based on defense. So defense is 1354, hit points is 15360. It seems like a kind of an underwhelming A1. You probably have to gear a lot, really gear dependent A1. Immolate is her A2, attacks all enemies, has an 80% chance of placing a block buffs debuff for 3 turns. So an AoE block buffs, that's kind of cool. You can actually get that chance up to 100% with books. But there's 6 of them, so, take that as you will. Her A3, Undying Evil level 1, attacks all enemies, has an 80% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 2 turns. So AoE provoke, with an 80% chance. Places an unkillable buff on this champion for 2 turns. That's sweet, man. Always pair, an AoE provoke with unkillable if you can, right? Places a block cooldown skills debuff on this champion for 5 turns. The block cooldown skills debuff cannot be resisted or blocked and cannot be removed. Alright, so Wow. All right. You can actually increase the buff debuff chance to 100%. So you can have 100% provoke, 100% provoke, and an unkillable. But you lose all of your cooldowns for 5 turns. Dude, I'd take that. You know? Take it. That's pretty sweet. Wow. Wow. 100%. That's a very interesting A3. Interesting design. I like the give and take, the push and pull of that. You have an awesome A3 with a pretty tough drawback, but you know it's not that tough because really you can still use your A1. Your A1's kind of crappy though. All right, so anyway, interesting character design on this Umbral Enchantress, and you also need her for the Brachus fusion if that was something they were interested in. So, okay, let's just move on. That's a lot to digest, but let's move on. All right, next up in the Undead Hordes, there are 2 new champions, a legendary and an uncommon. Okay, who looks new here in the Undead Hordes? This guy, Suzerain. That can't be right. Suzerain. Suzerain. I think it's Suzerain. That's what I'm gonna go for. Suzerain Catan, spirit champion. Legendary attack. His A1 attacks all enemies with a 35% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. You can increase it to 50% chance with 3 books. Hex of Years is his A2, attacks all enemies, 50% chance of placing a 25% weakened debuff for 2 turns. Places a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns if the weakened debuff is not placed. Okay, so it's one or the other. You either get a weaken or you get a decreased defense. And you can actually increase the chance of placing it looks like the initial debuff by up to 80%. Okay, so that's an okay. It's an okay A2. The A1 and the A2 are kind of standard. They're pretty standard. I'm not really impressed with either of those. Banish from Time is his A3. Removes shield, block damage, and unkillable buffs from all enemies, then attacks them. Places a 100% heal reduction debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This effect cannot be resisted. Oh, okay, well, his A3 just made up for his rudimentary A1 and A2s. Wow. Removes shield, block damage, and unkillable from all enemies, then attacks, then places a 100% heal reduction for 2 turns. That can't be resisted. Oh my, oh my, oh my. That is a really, really awesome, amazing A3. That is pretty sweet. Wow. All right, let's look at his stats real quick. He's attack based, 15,000 hit points, 1564 attack, 1013 defense. So he's really solid base stats here. Those 3. His speed is 98 is fine. 7% bonus crit damage a little bit. It's 57% instead of 50, and 20 accuracy built in. So that's cool. Oh, and he has an aura. Ally attack in all battles by 33%. Okay, so he's pretty good. I was not impressed overly with his A1 or A2. But his A3 makes up for it. His A3 is pretty intense. 4-turn cooldown. Okay. You probably only need it once though, right? Wow, that's awesome. All right, let's see what else we have here. All right, let's go over to Dark Elves, the next door neighbor of the Undead Hordes. And we have Lenakis the Chosen, legendary Dark Elf, and let's see what she does. She's really cool looking, man. I swear, these Dark Elves know how to dress, right? They're styling. Okay, so her A1 is Chosen's Touch, attacks 1 enemy, places a 15% continuous heal buff on the champion for 1 turn if the attack is critical. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. A2, Companions of Fate, teams up with 3 random allies to attack a single enemy. The allies joining the attack will use their default skills, fills the turn meter of all allies by 30%, increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. Okay, so she's got an ally attack, A2, plus some turn meter boost, plus duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. The increasing the duration of buffs by a turn is pretty sweet. Okay, so that's not a bad A2. It does some interesting things. It's 5-turn cooldown though, which is long. But with one book, you can get down to 4 turns. So if you're lucky and throw in 1 and lower that to 1 legendary tome and lower it to 4 turns, that's kind of sweet. Her A3, Banner of Legend, places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 50% increased attack buff on allies for 2 turns. It has a 25% chance of granting an extra turn. That doesn't sound... Is that right? Oh, so it's AoE, but there's no attack with it. So she doesn't actually do anything. So she has a 5-turn, 6 books, 4-turn cooldown A3 that increases crit rate and attack on all allies for 2 turns. But she only has a 25% chance of granting an extra turn for herself. I guess because it's an AoE. Because, I mean, look at Horden in Upburn Bannerlords. His skill is much better than that. Because he's... Oh, okay. I guess because it was an AoE, they figured that it doesn't need the 100% chance to gain an extra turn to attack. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. That's a little sketchy. For Legendary, I think she's kind of weak. 20,000 hit points, 1255 attack, 980 defense. The 108 speed is really good. That's a really high speed. But everything else is really middle of the road. I'm not enthralled with this one. This might be in the category of Vault Guardian. I don't know. I guess we have to see how her A3 worked in practice. And I don't know. I'm not... The only thing that I like is the 4-turn possibility of having a 4-turn cooldown on an A2 with an ally attack. I don't know. I don't even that's not great. Ugh. All right. I'm just have to accept the fact that I'm going to be a little bit disappointed in this particular legendary. Wow. All right. Well, let's hope that Plarium redeems themselves further on down the line. All right. So last gasp, Bannerlords. This is just whoa. Get out of there, you. There are only there's 3 new ones in here, but just rares and 2 uncommons. And we'll start out with the Bombardier. We've definitely seen this skin before, just in a different color, with the crossbowman, I guess. That's again lazy. Again, I don't like it. You know, this is a game where we're trying to collect stuff, so don't give us the same stuff over and over again. It's ridiculous. Okay. Anyway, so what does Bombardier do? He bombards. That makes logical sense, correct? Bombardier bombards. Okay, let's see, what does Bombard do? Has a 5% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs by 1 turn on 1 enemy. Okay, so a 5% chance of increasing... Okay, so this is good and bad. It's only a 5% chance. That kind of stinks. But all debuffs... So if you had him in the clan boss, and there's 10 debuffs up there, he got a chance, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. You can get the debuff chance up to... Okay, only up to 10%. So still, I don't know. I guess we have to see how that played out in practice. But that would be kind of cool to have little, rare baby Septimus in here, increasing the duration of all the debuffs by a turn. I don't know how that would actually work in practice. I hope someone tests it out just to see what it does. I don't think I'm going to do it, but that's kind of cool. It's very limited in its utility, but for that one utility, it could be really cool if you can get it to work. Let's see what his A2 does. Skirmish Tactics. Attacks an enemy, places a 30% increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns if it's critical. Alright, well that's nothing great. Septic Shot on his A3. Attacks 1 enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a 2.5% poison debuff for 2 turns. So again, a little bit more clan boss utility when you're just starting. Having weak poison on there is never a good idea. But again, maybe if you're just starting out and this is what you have, being able to increase duration of debuffs on the clan boss and putting some poisons on there, that's alright. Increasing your own speed If crit, that's fine. Nothing earth-shattering. His aura increases ally crit rate in all battles by 12%. That's interesting. Okay, that's interesting because most crit auras aren't all battles. They're either the same affinity ally, or they're in arena, or they're in dungeon. This is the first rare that I can think of off the top of my head. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. This is the only rare that I can think of that has a crit rate in all battles. 12% is low, but it's not bad. Not bad at all for a rare. That is interesting. So it's a rare. He's not overwhelmingly powerful, but he does some cool things that we haven't seen before at this tier of champion. So while he's certainly not something I would cross my fingers for and hope that I drew and want to build right away, I can totally see how he could fit into a certain niche for people that are beginning. Okay, cool. I think it's a worthwhile addition to our pantheon. All right, let's go on to Word Bearer, an uncommon. Again, another just character model repaint. Nothing special. It's lazy. I don't like it, but let's just see what she does. Noble Authority attacks one enemy, 25% chance of placing a 25% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. So why are there, is that really 8 books? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. You can 8 book this uncommon's A1 to increase your buff debuff chance of placing a 25% decreased accuracy. I don't know why anyone in their right mind would do that. If you can think of a reason that anyone would do that, please let me know, other than clinical insanity. Her A2 is Royal Shield. Place a 30% increased defense debuff on all allies for 2 turns. That you can actually book down twice with 2 books and get down to 2 turns. So you could have a low version of increased defense on all allies for 2 turns. That's not bad. The A2 is really good if you could book it, but if you're throwing books at it, odds are it's all going to land in your absolutely useless A1. So I would not recommend that to anybody. Frontline Warrior, another repaint. Let's see what this Frontline Warrior does. His A1, Wrath Hue, is an AoE based on defense. And he is indeed a defense character. So we have an uncommon defense-based champion that has an AoE A1 based on defense. They can book damage 3 times on. That's not a bad A1, man. The A1's kind of cool. The attack or defense is 12.99, so not bad. A useful early game. A2, Comrades in Arms, places a 25% ally protection buff on the ally with the lowest hit points for 2 turns, and grants an extra turn. So, and you can book that under 4 turns. Ally Protect on the A2, even if it's the low version, not bad for an uncommon. And when you're just starting out, you could definitely do worse. Okay, and there is one more in the Barbarians. I guess they did not have any commons. Well, they do now. They have a Shield Guard repaint. It's driving me nuts with all the repaints. This one actually does look kind of cool, though, so I will at least give him that. The color scheme is kind of sweet. Defense-based common that attacks an enemy that you could book 6 times if you really, really wanted to. Again, not something I recommend. So anyway, that's it. That's the new champions for this release. Please let me know what you think about them. If you have any specific disagreements with what I said, if you have reasons to, like if I said the champion was bad and you think, hey, this champion's good, explain to me why, because maybe I'm missing something, man. You know what? When you're just going through and you haven't thought it out all the way, maybe you're missing some stuff. And so I'd appreciate that. Any insight that you have, let me know. All right, I appreciate you bearing with me. This was looks like it's going to be a busy weekend here in Raidland. There's so much stuff going on, but please leave a like, some comments, subscribe if you want to hear more about this stuff. Want to hear me ranting for a long time on various topics? I would appreciate it. You guys take care. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself, and I will see you next time. Enjoy. Bye.